Hello everyone and welcome to the Noodle Shop. This is a podcast and I'm going to be using this podcast as much as I can to space out time between my videos when I don't have time to create anything. This will be the kind of content that I will be putting out because I want to be able to at least put content on my channel and not have to worry about becoming irrelevant in an algorithm. So I decided to make this podcast, The Noodle Shop, because, like I said, this would be a little bit easier to work with, and I'd be able to talk a little bit more freely, not have to worry about a script, and I don't have to worry about things like preparing anything in particular. I can just write down some thoughts and project them onto things like that. So I'll be using this with in combination with guests and things like that. I might have demonstrations on art, something in real time instead of working on anything else. I could put projects on while I'm working, and I could talk about my projects, and I could talk about my daily life and updates that might be going on around them. And that's what I'll be doing today. I'm going to be soloing it by myself today because I don't have anybody lined up to talk with, but that's okay. It'll probably change in the future depending on who wants to come onto the podcast. And that's pretty much what we're going on. I've been away from YouTube for about 2 weeks now, almost 3 weeks, and there's a pretty significant reason. The biggest thing is, of course, that I'm working on my own art and I'm working on my own projects. And I'm not leaving YouTube behind. As a matter of fact, I love making YouTube videos. I actually have one in the works right now, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I thought this would be a little bit easier to work on because, frankly, I don't have to do much preparing for this. This is going to be pretty simple. This is the first inaugural episode of the Noodle Shop, and I just wanted to be able to chill and just kind of talk to people about my life and all. So I've been working on, besides the podcast, I've been working on my own items, my own artwork, and for the people that don't know, I'm actually an art student. I work in an art studio at school. I'm a senior, and this is my last semester in school, and right now I'm working on things that are really important to me. I'm discovering myself all over again, and I'm putting myself into my pieces in a way that makes them more interesting. So, of course, when I'm working, I am thinking a lot more about, the context of the things that I'm working on, and I'm not just putting things out. I'm putting out things that are much more interesting to me, or things that have precedent in my life, or things that I want for my life. And I think that's really important because an artist, you always want to work. You always want to adapt and find new things and get into new things. And no matter what, you want to at least be competent in the fields that you work on. So I've been doing a lot of personalized study, and I've been looking at things that I want to do. So maybe I might end up going to grad school. That'd be kind of cool too. The biggest thing right now is an art show. So I'm working on an art show because this is, if you don't know what a capstone project is, I'm pretty sure it might be called something different in other areas, but a capstone project, for the most part in college, is the idea that you're working on something that is a culmination of all your work from the beginning to your end. And you might learn many, many things in the span of, who knows, about what, 4 years, 5 years, depending on how long you stay in college. And you might have things like internships that teach you more things that are more specialized to a field that you might be interested in. You might learn things at apprenticeships. You might learn things while you're out on your own and you're studying and working on your own thing. And everybody has their own thing, and different departments have different requirements. For example, I know some business schools might actually have you debate or sell your way out of school, pretty much, and sell it to your teachers or to your mentors, and eventually you come up with something, and they give you a grade whether you pass or fail. In my particular field, the art field, we're working on 3 other seniors and I are working on something called a capstone project, and ours is an art exhibition. It's the art show, senior art show. This is a culmination of all the art that I've ever worked on, and this is the crystallization of the things that I find most value in, and this is what I want to show to the world as I'm leaving school. So this is something that's very important to me, and I feel as if sharing this stuff to the world is very important. This stuff is very indicative of who I am as a person, the things that I appreciate, what I do, who I am, the art styles and things that I like. For example, my tentative title for my show is called What I Want. What I want simply means that I want to have certain things in my life and certain things seen in the work that I put out. I like creating characters, and I like creating worlds and believable stories that people can actually look at and either find intrigue in and delve deeper into them, or at the very least look at them from a surface level and be interested. I enjoy nature. I enjoy things that nature has to offer, which is why I've moved to the furry fandom and the form of anthropomorphic animals and things like that. But I've done more than animals. Trees, rocks with golems and things like that. All of that culminates into me. I love fantasy. I love the idea of being able to do things that the world physically cannot allow you to do, and being able to portray that is something that I find deeply enriching and enjoyable. Those things that are very important to me, like magic or the arcane, or things like mythological creatures and beings and stories, all of those things that are all important to me. Being able to share myself, my personal self, being able to open up and tell people who I am and what I represent and who I feel I am. Sharing that in a show, in art pieces. And that's pretty much what my show is. My show is about what I want for myself, what I want the world to see from me, and what I want more than anything to see from myself. I want people to understand that I feel most comfortable with who I am as an artist. And it took a lot to get there, but eventually it finally happened. And this is what I feel my show should be about. And I just kind of threw the pitch at you, but this is kind of like the basic rough line artist statement. And if you're going to do an art show, I think that that's something that you should definitely consider doing and figuring out, because you want to be able to get your point across. And it doesn't have to be as rough or whatever as mine is. It could be something completely different. You might have different reasons for doing art shows, but this is just a way for me to explain it to you all in a way that's simple and effective. And that's pretty much what I've been working on for the past... to be honest, I've been working on this since last year, so it's been it's full circle. It's pretty much been 2 years almost. I've been working on my art show, making sure that I've had stuff for it since last fall. So not this, year and a half ago. So a year and a half ago is when I really started putting this together. So in 2018, I started working on my show with paintings. I started getting back to basics. Exploring what I enjoy doing and who I like doing it with, and that ended up turning into a area of intrigue, and I started becoming very serious about my art. Now, I'm serious about my art, but I realized that in order to get better, I had to self-reflect, and I had to go deeper into what I knew and how I knew it, and I had to self-discover and rediscover all over again. I had to take some things that I thought I knew about myself and reevaluate them. I had to look at myself internally and say, is this what I am? And if it isn't, why am I not this anymore? And what am I now? And all that stuff had to be considered and thought about as I worked to create something that I never thought that I would get to. I often talk about being able to work with other mediums besides drawing, and I would love to be able to show you all my processes for painting or my processes for printmaking, because printmaking is my second favorite form of media. Drawing being my first, and then my third being sculpture. I love sculpture, but I don't have a chance to do it all the time. And I would love to be able to show process videos and show you how I do this or how I do that, and show you all different facets of the art field that some people literally don't know until they come into an art school, or if they come into an art department at a regular 4-year liberal art school. People don't know this stuff. People don't know what the hell printmaking is. And to be honest, I didn't know either until I started doing it, and I met my mentor, and he showed me the things that you can do with it. And I fell in love with the intricacy, the identity that I formed into it, the way that I can make things more interesting just by carving into a block of linoleum, or a way that I can produce things and make additions, and I can make them, limited. I can make them more intriguing if I limited how many I had and sell them off as such. And I've done many editions of many different pieces now, and I have to say that I truly think that besides drawing, that if I didn't have drawing in my life, I definitely would be a printmaker. And so that is another thing with my art. one day I'll be able to set up nice cameras. I'll be able to show my face online fully. And I do show my face if you go to my Twitter, NoodleDog with 2 zeros. Or if you go to my Twitter, Ylverax, YLVEERAX. You can see my face on my social media. You can see it all the time. But I want to be able to show my processes for the other stuff, and I want to be able to show you all other projects that I want to work on. So with that, art is fun. That's why I made an art channel. I thought it was really cool to be able to share and enjoy the things that I enjoy and share them with other people so that they can see what they might like too. Other things in my life that have been going on, I've just been tired for the most part. I've been working nonstop. I've been figuring out, who I am, and finding the time to actually enjoy my life, because for the past year and a half I haven't had a chance to do that. It's been really hard to create and do things. Well, let me backtrack. I actually don't think it's been hard to create things. It hasn't been hard to do work, but it's been very hard to relax and enjoy the things that I enjoy. I draw because, not only is it my catharsis or my my way of meditation, but it's my job. It's a thing that's going to keep me fed. It's going to be the thing that I want to rely on. It's the skill that I've picked up and mastered, or I feel like I've mastered enough to be able to share with other people and teach it to others in a way that somebody taught it to me. But with all of that, of course, comes the problem with I don't have enough time to do anything for myself. I don't have a time to go on vacation. I don't get a chance to actually sit down and actually just breathe. And sometimes, you come in home from work or from school, and you lay in your bed and you just you take a breath and you relax for a little bit, and then you get up and you start working again. Sometimes I didn't even do that. Sometimes I get something to eat. I would sit down in my bed for a second, and I would pull out my laptop, and I would immediately just start working on another piece, an art piece or something like that. I would do that, and I would do that for a year, and for a year and a half. My sketchbook is full of different things that I think are super extremely important, like animation cells for stuff that I want to do, thumbnails for an animation that I want to work on, or a comic that I want to work on. And don't worry, I'll actually get to doing that eventually. And I have other projects that I think about too, because as much as YouTube is important to me, I have other stuff that supersedes that. My art in particular, I have to become more viable in my art, and I like animation, I love manga, I love comics. So putting that together, I have to, study. I have to study a lot of that so I can become more understanding of the world around me and the fields that I want to get into. I have 2 comics I actually had to postpone because I wanted to get a better understanding of how to structure a comic. I've got 2. School Rocks, which is a college-based comic centered around one of my characters, Virgil. You actually might have seen it in an earlier video, a really early video on my channel, where I was actually coloring one of the panels, one of the pages for her. And I have Terra Firma. Terra Firma is another comic. That's a fantasy comic, and it's a little bit darker and it's a little bit more gritty because it's fantasy setting. It's kind of like RPG type setting, so it's got like monsters and magic and potions and health and things like that. And I had to postpone the 2 because I love the projects, but they take a lot out of me, especially if you got 2 comics and one of them is a little bit more detail-oriented, more detail-oriented than the other. School Rocks is a little bit easier to work on, but Terra Firma is definitely more, I put a lot more consideration into coloring and into placement of characters and things like that, because it's a lot more dynamic and there's a lot more happening. A lot of those things I wanted to put on the side so I can actually think about how I wanted to work on the rest of my portfolio, and eventually I'll get back to it when I'm better and stronger. And I already am. It's been about a year, a year and a half, maybe 2 years since I've worked on the 2, and I love the comic ideas. And don't worry, I'm going to do them, and I would probably post my process videos and stuff like that on my YouTube channel. But for now, I've got to grow, and anybody who wants to get better at something has to understand that they have to grow sometimes. Sometimes they have to stop and reflect inward and see how do they fit and how does everything work on that level. So I've got to do that. And that's pretty much been it as far as life goes. I got my oil changed recently. I think that's the most. And other than that, I've been pretty healthy. Nothing really has been going on. I don't feel bad or anything. I feel pretty good. The coronavirus thing is definitely a thing that's happening right now. Today is the 10th of March. So right now, around the world is pretty terrifying. But I hope that this passes. And I hope everybody stays safe. And I hope it soon slowly just fades out of existence. And other than that, the only other thing that's really happened recently, I really want to talk about a little bit, is conventions. I don't often go to conventions, right? So I only go to a convention in my area, in my region, MechaCon. It's an anime con, and I've gone almost every year. This is probably dating where I am, and at this point it's fine. I mean, MechaCon is pretty cool. And this is the only con I go to throughout the year, and it's usually my birthday weekend, so I go out and I have a good time. I get a hotel room in the city, and I enjoy myself and my friends. Well, MechaCon is actually ending this year. This is the last year out of, I forget how many years it's been operable. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't get a chance to write it down, so be it. And of course, the biggest thing with MechaCon is that it's my one catharsis, my one time to cut loose and enjoy myself with friends and people in the city. Well, recently, that changed. I'm a furry, but I never got a chance. I've never gotten a chance to go to a FurCon, and I got a chance to go with a really good friend of mine, Thrax. I'm actually working on a video that I filmed some stuff for while I was away in Texas at TFF, Texas Furry Fiesta, which was really fun. I had a really great time. I got to meet some really cool people, some really good artists, got to see some friends that were there that I was surprised to see, mind you, but overall I had a really good experience. And I truly think that I'm going to be trying to go to as many furry conferences as I possibly can when I have the feasible amount of money. A couple things that I will note about it before. I'm not going to give away my whole thoughts because I'm making a video about my thoughts on TFF and my first FurryCon as a whole, but I will say the people that were there were very kind. They were very friendly. I saw a lot of nice things, a lot of cool things, a lot more things than I expected to see, and I personally just thought that my understanding and feeling for the furry community definitely solidified even more so, and it became a little bit more solid. I really did enjoy myself. I had a great time. The people that I went with, I think that was just it was just such a good time, and it felt so good that I didn't have to worry about, I didn't have to worry too much about who I was as far as like a person. I felt a little bit more, I felt at home. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel scared. I went to panels for once. I got a chance to actually see people, and I got to see the goods and the bads of a community that I am a part of. And I had a good time. Loved every bit of it, and I'm definitely going back next year, of course, with the same people, hopefully, and I might see if I can bring more people. And I'm going to be working on a video while in the next couple of weeks. Because I'm working on art pieces, it's going to be kind of hard. I don't have a chance to actually, cut loose and actually work on pieces. And when I'm not, working on pieces, I'm in the Noodle Shop. I'm talking and I'm podcasting for you all. And I've got another podcast with some friends over on the Ultra Prism podcast that I truly think you guys might like because it's 4 guys just talking about random stuff. And this podcast, while I will have people coming on or whatever, I hope that more good things will come from this and people can enjoy and chill with me and just come into the shop and have a good time. Eat some noodles, eat some ramen, some pho if you like pho, or if you like chicken noodle soup, we got that too. We got all kinds of stuff in here. But that's pretty much it for the inaugural episode of the podcast. I didn't have too much to talk about, and I don't have anybody to talk with, so I don't want to make it too long and too grating. If you liked this video, go on ahead and tell me what you thought about it in the comments. I would love to hear your comments. And don't forget to like the video and share it with somebody that might be interested. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I have links to my social media and stuff like that down in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thank you very much. Come again soon. Bye.